Hi folks, Mike from Minnesota here. Thanks for joining my channel, and please remember, if you like the videos I'm doing, hit the subscribe button, and actually you can also do notifications so that you'll find out when I have a new video. I'm coming to you from the north woods of Minnesota, God's country. Today we're going to do my pizza. A lot of people have been waiting for this recipe, and I enjoy doing it. First of all, I'm going to give you the pizza sauce recipe. This is my sauce recipe. Now, I researched different places I Googled different pizza sauce recipes and kind of came up with my own. So what I use for a regular thin crust pizza, which we're doing tonight, 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, 6 ounces of tomato paste, 2 teaspoons crushed oregano, 2 teaspoons crushed basil, 1.5 teaspoons fresh garlic minced. That's about 2 cloves. A quarter teaspoon of crushed pepper flakes, and a quarter teaspoon salt, quarter teaspoon pepper. Now, if you want to make your pizza a Chicago style or deep dish, what I use is the Cento brand San Marsano peeled tomatoes. Now, they're a little more expensive than Heinz or some of the other ones, but I'm telling you what, if you opened up a Heinz can of peeled tomatoes and a Cento San Marsano, you would really see the difference. So in this recipe, if you're going to do a deep dish, what you do is you use a 28-ounce can of the Cento peeled tomatoes, and you double this recipe all the way down. And that'll give you quite a few pizzas. You can freeze the sauce in the freezer. I'll show you that later, how I do this when I'm doing this sauce for the thin crust. You take the peeled tomatoes, those Cento peeled tomatoes, put them in a big bowl, and crush them up with your hand. I normally use a glove when I do that. I add the tomato paste. I put the peeled tomatoes in. I add the tomato paste. I add all those ingredients, and I use gloves. I wash my gloves, and I crush it up, and I mix it all together. So that's what you do for a Chicago style or a deep dish. I will be doing one of those pizzas in another episode. So, but today we're doing a thin crust, and believe me, it's going to be fun. So what we got my sauce already put together for the thin crust pizza. I'm going to cover that, put that back in the fridge, and now what we're going to do is the pizza dough. Here's the dough recipe. Again, it's 3 to 4 cups of King Arthur bread flour. You don't put all that in, you just start and keep working it like I showed you in the video. I used 2¼ teaspoons of King Arthur SAF instant yeast, and it's great yeast and it works really well. 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and 1.5 cups of water from the tap at 105 degrees. We get our King Arthur yeast and we put it in a container like this. We put the expiration date on it. We keep it in the freezer. A neighbor of mine told me about using King Arthur yeast and also freezing it, and it works well. Folks, I just wanted to tell you, with the wet ingredients on doing the dough, I take my bowl and I actually run it under hot water to kind of warm it up a little bit. And you might say, well, Mike, how do you get your water temperature to 105 degrees? Well, I use a Thermopen. I turn on the water and I keep adjusting it till it gets to 105 degrees. Then I fill up my measuring cup to the exact amount of water, and then I add it to the yeast, salt, sugar, and all of that stuff. So I stir that in and let it proof for 10 to 15 minutes until the yeast gets really bubbly. You can see it kind of reacting. So once that's to that point, you put the bowl in, then you start adding the flour. I've got all the ingredients. This has really been proofing for a long time. I better get this going. Get that in there. Get my flour, and what I do, I told you about how many cups to use. That's just a gauge. What you want to do is, when I start out, put a good amount in there. And I start mixing it with my dough hook. What you want to do is keep doing this a little bit at a time. Spatula, push down from the edges, keep it going. What you want to do is push down the flour. Now you really want to take your time doing this, because what I don't want to do is have to add water. I found that starting out with the wet ingredients in my dough works out much better for me than having to add water to the dough later. It just, for me, it just doesn't seem to work out good. So I'll add a little more flour. It'll get to the point where I'll just be adding a little bit at a time. Let the dough hook work the dough. Sometimes I'll turn it off, lift it up, and really mash it down. Whoa. On my KitchenAid mixer, I'm doing this at a number 2. It's ready for more flour. It's still really wet, so I can put quite a bit of flour in there. And I'm going to wait on that one. I know it's risky what I'm doing. Putting the spatula in there while it's mixing. But I'm trying to be careful. This is really an important step. To get the dough so that it's sticky but doesn't stick to your finger. So I'll be testing it later and you'll be seeing how I do that. So I really don't know how much flour I end up using. I just use the amount to where it turns out right. You can see the ball forming pretty good now. Right now, it's at a point where I got to really be careful how much flour I add in. Because you'll see the dough is starting to flop against the side of the bowl. And it's getting to the point where it's closer to come out. Getting closer to come out of the bowl. It still needs more though. You can see that. It's Way too sticky. Let the mixer work, do its job. It'll pick that stuff off the bottom of the bowl. I like to help it a little bit too. See, it's sticking to the sides. Getting there. Yeah, it's getting there. Now, it's about done because it's sticky, but it really isn't sticking to my finger. But what I'm going to do is get this going a little bit more. Yeah, look at the way the dough looks right now. Now what I'm going to do, turn this off, bring it up. See how the dough is sticky, but it's not staying on my finger. So it is ready right now. What I'm going to do now is transfer the dough to a oiled bowl, and I use olive oil. I'm going to oil the sides. I like using gloves because the dough doesn't stick as much to my hands. So I'm going to roll this out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that dough and get it oiled up a little bit in there. Peel these gloves off. Put some plastic wrap on it. I'm going to let this dough raise about an hour and till double in size. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is prep some of my other ingredients. And tonight, we're having a Hawaiian pizza. So I got a fresh pineapple. This little gizmo works really great. I picked it up at the grocery store. You follow the directions and it cuts it down into, I don't use the wedging thing, but the only problem is getting the core out of it. So you got to be careful with that, but it works good. Folks, the dough has risen, and I'm going to take it out of the oiled bowl, and I have a lot of flour on my silicone mat here. You don't need to use a silicone mat. I mean, this is a Formica top. You can put it on that. You can put it on granite. You can use, pretty much a wood. You just want to get it floured down because with the oil, this dough is kind of wet. So I'm going to roll it out of this bowl. And I have gloves with Kenny because I don't want the dough sticking to my hands. So I got that on there, and you're going to get a lot of flour around. You want to get that floured up good. You can knead it a little bit. What happens when you roll out the dough, if it starts shrinking in, let it rest a little bit. And it'll be good. So at this point, what I'm going to do Move this bowl out of here. Is I'm going to take this dough, which is enough to make 2 pizzas. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to take this ball, wrap it in plastic wrap, and put it in the freezer. So that's going to go in the freezer. And this is what we're going to make our pizza with tonight. Get a little more flour on there. And we're going to start rolling it out. Again, if it comes back too quickly, let it rest a little bit. And it's coming back, so. Start sticking, get some more flour on there. I don't want to rush this. Take your time with the dough. Be one with the dough. I just love it up here. Yeah, just before we did the video, 2 does came walking by. They steal all the feed out of my bird feeder, and our German Shepherd saw them, and we had to postpone the video for a little while until we could calm her down. That's looking pretty good. I really don't need to have gloves on at this point, but no reason to take them off. So, we have a pretty good size piece of dough here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer this dough to this device. This device is unbelievable. It's called Super Peel big 16. Now, if you go to www.superpeel, superpeel.com, you'll find this. And what this does is, I got the stone in the oven. The oven's been on for 500 degrees for quite a while. I want to get that stone really up to temperature. I'm going to put this on here, build my pizza, and I'm going to slide this pizza right onto this stone with this super peel. So let me move this over. I floured the surface of this also. You want it floured so the dough doesn't stick to it. Well, now as you can see, this is way too big for my stone. So I'm going to use a plastic pizza cutter, and I'm going to trim this so that it will fit on my stone. And plastic is, the reason why I'm using plastic is I don't want to cut into my fabric on the super peel. You don't trim it too tight, because what you're going to do is end up pinching the edge of this dough. That looks pretty darn nice. Do you think? Yeah. So we do it up here, up north. So we got that set up. Now I'm going to add my sauce. You know, you think, man, that takes a lot of time to do all of this stuff, but you know it does. But you got to remember that after you get to this point, you're going to have a dough ball that's in the freezer. You're going to have sauce that's frozen. All you need to do the next day is take the dough ball out, unwrap it, put it in an oiled olive oil bowl, cover it, and let it sit out all day. It'll thaw and rise. And then the sauce you take out, and so when you're done with all of that, you just do this little process. You got throw your ingredients on, and it's no time to do it. So now you can put as much sauce as you want. Some people like it saucier than others. I like it fairly saucy. Not too saucy though. I like to get it up to the edges. All right, I'm not a professional at doing this, but it works. Now, That's a good amount of sauce on there without it being too saucy. And this is what we have left. That's probably 2 more pizzas. Definitely 1. And after that, what we're going to do is add our ingredients, which is going to be, Matt, what do you think? We want to do a little bit of pepperoni on there? Here's something that I discovered that's really good with this Hawaiian pizza is these are tamed jalapeno peppers. They're not as hot as the regular one. I can get the jar out of here. And what it does is it gives it a really, really good flavor. It offsets that sweetness of the pineapple. Believe me, it's really good. Try it. So we got that. We got some pineapple going on in here. Love it. Love that pineapple. Folks, I bet your mouth is watering right now. Now the jalapenos. Believe me, this is really good. You know, once you get the basics, you get the sauce, you get the dough, you use that dough for every kind of pizza that I make. And you can experiment with different ingredients, what you like, what you want to do with it. And now I'm going to put the mozzarella cheese shredded. I use 1 pound here. Dump it in the middle and you can work from there. Smooth it out. Doesn't that look beautiful? So I want to come over here. I'm going to open up the oven and show you how I put the pizza in the oven. Pizza goes into the oven. I have my stone in there. It's been heating at 500 degrees for quite a while. You want to get it hot. Get it to the end there. You slide it off just like that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. How else can you do that? Now you just, I'm going to turn the light on, keep an eye on it, and you cook it until that cheese is melted, the crust is brown, and the cheese has a little golden brown to it, and it's going to be fantastic. So while it cooks, I'm going to clean up here and get ready to plate it. Pizza's cooking. I'm going to put together some stuff for the freezer, the sauce. Probably going to do 2 pizzas, actually. Put it in a container, Tupperware. I like to put some plastic wrap over the top just to seal out as much air as possible. And the sauce and the dough go in the freezer. Looks like it's ready to come out of the oven. Oh, it looks beautiful. My wife just picked up some of these new things here. Slide it right on there. Well, folks, it's done. If you take a look at this pizza, this is restaurant quality pizza. Believe me, all the people who've ever had this just rave about it. And it takes a little bit of work, but like I said, you know, the next pizza you do, a lot easier. So I'm going to slice this up. I believe the pepperoni is on this side. Now I'm using the metal cutter, obviously. That baby is hot. Whew. That looks good. I can smell the jalapenos. I should have let it maybe cool down a little bit before I cut it here, but I'm telling you what. You look at this baby and it's unbelievable. So again, that dough recipe you can use with a variety of pizzas. I'll be showing you some of those coming up. And that's our pizza right there from the North Woods of Minnesota. And until next time, I just want to say, if you like my my shows, my videos, subscribe, like them, whatever. If you subscribe and do notifications, you'll know when my next video comes up. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. Maybe another ice fishing video. I hope you love the one that I put on there, Matt and I, out fishing on Winnebagosh. So until next time, this is Mike from Minnesota. Make every day a great day. God bless.